This is how mirrors and labels will get you promoted. Imagine if you knew someone who just got you. Everything they knew was correct. They knew your fears. They understood you. They understand your joys, what gets you up in the morning. They understand what doesn't. They understand your pet peeves and they do their utmost to respect that. How would you feel towards that person? This is what mirroring and labeling does. I'm going to go over each of these two massive components that will get you better connections in your job, in your career, in your relationships, in your business. And you can see happiness, money, and career. Or it can be shopping, depending if you like shopping. I like shopping. Amazing. So, first we're going to focus on what is mirroring. A pen running out? No, it's not. Mirroring. Popularized by Chris Voss, who wrote the book Never Split the Difference. Popularized by the FBI negotiator Chris Voss, who wrote Never Split the Difference. Mirroring is a term that is used to define when you literally mirror somebody, when you reflect somebody's rate of speech, their pausing, their volume, their emotion, their hand gestures, their body language. When you notice somebody is feeling a certain way and you do your utmost to meet them where they are, this is mirroring. Humans like to flock toward people who are like them, who mirror them. Because why? We understand them. It's not an unknown entity. The reason why mirroring is so important is because even back in our earlier days as humans, to keep safe, we had to be familiar with who we were dealing with. And the way to do that is if they did what we did, that means we're like them. Why would they want to hurt us? We're like them. A key example of mirroring in the workplace, for example, is when you're having a conversation with your colleague. Let's say your colleague starts to swing around their chair. That might signal then they're erratic or they want to get out, they want to go on a break. They start swiveling around in their chair. Now, imagine if you were doing the opposite. Imagine if you were tunnel vision, straight on your desk, just typing. On your desk, just typing. Imagine if you were like that while they were trying to have a conversation with you. They were spinning around on their chair, etc. Now, imagine if they had another colleague on their other side who mirrored them. They were also spinning around on their chair. They were also doing, trying to have a conversation. Now, of course, it could get them in trouble if the boss walks in, but that's not the point. The point is mirroring them. The point is the two people who were both swiveling on their chair, who wanted to go on a break maybe, they could understand each other, as opposed to you who was just, head on tunnel vision, just straight on just straight in your desk. Yeah, I might. No, carry on. Just straight in your desk. So what does mirroring provide? Mirroring provides understanding. It provides common ground. It provides relatability. All these things happen when you mirror somebody. When you match somebody's tone, their rate of speech, their body language, their volume. Imagine if you were meeting somebody. Imagine if you were meeting me and you were quite shy, so you spoke quite quietly. Imagine if I then started to shout and completely overpower you and your speech by my volume. Imagine if. Now, imagine if I approached you a bit more quieter like you. I would say, thank you. Thank you so much for coming to meet me. I'm so glad. I'm much more calmer. I'm mirroring you. That provides understanding. I understand where you are. That provides common ground. We are the same. And that provides relatability. And to understand, again, what you can mirror anything about somebody. You can mirror literally anything. Oh, my pen's running out. Oh no, okay. So you can mirror somebody's dress. How they dress. Let me get the red pen out. You can mirror how somebody dresses. You can mirror somebody's volume, their body language, their habits and tendencies. You can mirror anything about somebody, their facial expressions. All of these things is mirroring. Now, when you combine mirroring with labeling, this is when you become very, very powerful as a communicator. You can understand people. They're very similar. They're like brother and sister. So what labeling is labeling. Let's say you go to the supermarket and you see an apple. It will be labeled an apple. Now, let's take this to what we're actually talking about. Imagine if you see your friend or your colleague and they seem sad. Labeling is saying, you seem sad, what's wrong? Labeling is literally picking out and pointing out somebody's emotions, how they seem to you. It's picking up on their little... It's picking up on their body language, on their tone, on their rate of speech, on how they're coming across, and then labeling that emotion. Are they happy? Are they sad? Are they excited? You've probably heard it, you've probably seen it done to you. You seem excited, what's going on? Or you seem sad, how can I help? And how does that make you feel? It makes you feel seen and heard. Humans have a craving to feel seen and heard. Ever since the beginning of time, and I say that a lot, since the beginning of time, because humans are the same. Our physiology might change, our psychology might change at the end of the day, but our needs will stay the same. We need to be seen and heard. And labeling does exactly that. So how does this work in an office environment? Let's say you are having a chat with your colleague and they've been working for the past 5 hours. They're in it. And then they come to you, you're having a conversation, and then they say, I'm just so snowed under with work. A label would be, you seem so busy. Or a label would be, you seem to be cracking on so well. Labeling their emotion, you seem to be going on. Labeling. What time is it? mirroring, a labeling statement usually starts with "you seem." Now you don't want to say "you are," because that you might get it wrong and then you might annoy them even more. So saying "you seem" is like an observation. It's not fact. You seem. You seem tense. You seem snowed in. You seem happy. You seem sad. When you combine mirroring and labeling, a few things will happen. So I've gone over what mirroring and labeling actually is. So let's go over what it's not. Mirroring and labeling is not lying. It's not being fake. Now, like with any and everything, you have the opportunity to lie and be fake. So mirroring and labeling is not an option, is not an exception. I'm not going to say that people don't use mirroring and labeling to lie and to be fake and to be manipulative. The key thing here, however, is if you do lie and be fake, you'll be found out, number one, and it won't be genuine. But then you might be thinking, Tion, I want to connect with people. I want to not be fake when I mirror and label. So how do I do that? Great question. And that is exactly how. To stop being this, you need to ask great questions. You need to ask great questions. Ask questions that will Ask questions that will get you to understand their ideology, how they think, why they're feeling a certain way. Ask their interests. Ask what they don't like. When you meet common ground with somebody, it's so much more easier to connect and to mirror. A key thing here is also to realize that mirroring and labeling, yes, it is a tactic. I found it in the Chris Voss video, in the Chris Voss book, excuse me. However, it's a core human thing that we do without even realizing. When somebody smiles at us, we smile. So yes, there's two ways to use mirroring and labeling. You can use it as tactical empathy, or you can just connect with somebody and you do it naturally. And the way you do it naturally is asking great questions. Ask the right questions. So I've told you that when you mirror, you will become much more of a better communicator. But how does that actually translate into the office, into getting promoted? You will develop a reputation. For being warm and competent. Warmth is to do with how you listen to people, how you connect with people, the mirroring, the labeling. Competence is more so to do with how competent are you in doing a task? Can you comprehend somebody? And that is more so to do with labeling actually. Because let's say you're receiving an order from your boss. When you label and repeat back to them, or it's even both, it's mirroring and labeling. When you mirror their order back to them, you'll be seen as more competent. You will be seen as somebody who can take orders. Mirror somebody's order back to them. Mirror what they just told you back to them. Reputation for warmth and competence. You'll become a good listener. You'll become a good listener. the WhatsApp thing for? What the fuck? You become a good listener. Around the office, people will just tell you that you're so good at listening. You're so good at labeling their emotions and understanding who they are. You will be known as this, and this will get you promoted. If you would like to work with me one-to-one, then click the link in my description and either me or my team will get back to you and we can discuss how we can make you a more influential, more powerful and confident communicator. Thank you for watching.